Now we're going to look at doing four-square math and old school multiplication. First off, I'm going to show you how to multiply numbers that end in 0 with this easy trick that will help you with the four-square math. So for example, if we were going to multiply the number 20 and we were going to multiply that by 30. Now I don't have my 20 or 30 times tables memorized by now. I know, bit of a slacker, right? But if I just remember my 2 and 3 times tables, then I will be able to answer this very quickly. So what we're going to focus on are the numbers that are not zeros. So I'm going to look over here in the tens place with this 2 and the tens place in this 3. So all I have to do is remember that 2 times 3 is equal to 6. Then I count the number of zeros that are behind the digits I just multiplied. So there's 1 0 here and 1 0 here. So that means that there's 2 zeros in my question, and therefore there's 2 zeros in my answer, because remember, I wasn't multiplying 2 times 3, I was multiplying 20 times 30. Knowing how to do this is really going to help you when you are doing the four-square math. Let's say I want to multiply two two-digit numbers. For example, maybe I want to do 12 times 23. I first have to remember to look at the place value of each. So in 12, it's the same as having 10 plus 2. And for 23, it's the same as having 20 plus 3. It's important to realize that, because when we go to multiply the numbers, we're going to break it down in terms of the tens and ones. So for example, for the number 12, we're going to have 10 and 2, because 10 plus 2 is 12. And for 23, we're going to have 20 and 3, because 20 plus 3 is 23. We are then going to multiply the numbers inside each of the four squares. So I'll start with this box right here, and I'm going to go 20 times 10. So first I go 2 times 1, which is 2. And then I have to remember to add the zeros on the back of 20 and on the back of 10. So that gives me 2 zeros to use. So 20 times 10 is 200. Next I move on to this square right here. So I multiply the digits that are not zeros. So I have 2 times 2, which is 4. And now I have to make sure that I use the 0 in the 20 and add it on to the answer of 2 times 2, because I'm actually doing 2 times 20, or 20 times 2, which is 40. Now I'm going to move down to this box right here. So again, I'm just multiplying the numbers that are not zeros. So 3 times 1, which is 3. And then don't forget, I need to make sure that this 0 goes onto the back because I'm actually going 3 times 10. So 3 times 10 is 30. And then my last square where I have 3 times 2. And of course 3 times 2 is 246. And there are no zeros to tack on here at the end because these digits are in the ones place. Once I have that done, I need to add up the numbers. Now some people like to add up the numbers in their head, use mental math. I always like to write it off onto the side just so I know I don't make any mistakes while I am counting. So I'm going to write my largest number first, which is 200. Then my next number, which is 40. My next number, which is 30. And my last number, which is 6. And this, of course, is all going to get added up. So my first one is to add up 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 6. And the answer to that is 6. Next, I move on to my next side here. So I have 0 plus 4 is 4, and 4 plus 3. 4 plus 3 is 7. And then my final column to add up, 2 plus nothing is equal to 2. So my final answer is 276. Now I'm going to do the same example, but I'm going to multiply it differently. So we had 12 times 23, and we're going to do what we call old school math, which is how it was taught when I was a kid, probably when your parents were kids as well. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to stack the numbers on top of each other. Just move that out of the way a little bit there. So we have 23, and we are going to multiply that by 12. I always like to put the greatest number on the top, just sort of out of habit. It also helps if you have numbers that go up into the hundreds place, so you have more digits on the top than on the bottom. So I always like to have the bigger number on the top. Okay, so now I have to do 2 times 3. So I have to figure out what is 2 times 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Then I have to multiply 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Now I'm finished with this 2. I've multiplied it by all the numbers that are above it, so I don't need this number anymore. So a way for me to remember that I am finished with that number is to just scratch it out. And to remember that I now need to move on to this place value, you also need to include a 0 because there's nothing left. And I've also moved on to the tens place value. So now that I have that done, I go 1 times 3. And with 1 times 3, the answer is 3. And then I move on to my next number, which is 1 times 2. And 1 times 2 is 2. Once I have run out of numbers, because I'm all done with this guy here now as well, I have to add these numbers together. So I have 46 plus 230. So 46 plus 230, I have to go 6 plus 0, which is 6. Then I have 4 plus 3, which is 7. And then nothing plus 2, which is 2. The old school on the left and the 4 square on the right. And as you can see, even though both methods look fairly different in terms of the process and how you do the actual work, you still get the exact same answer of 276 no matter which method you use.